Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Phatkat Collections. Got another cool watch for you, and this is not going to be, the highest quality watch. And this is one of these watches where, quality is apparent, right? And so this is a Temu special. So Temu actually has a lot of crazy stuff on there. I can almost kind of find myself going down the rabbit hole of a bunch of products that I'm not going to say I don't necessarily need, but I'm always finding something on Temu to add to my shopping cart. And so Temu does have an affiliate program. I'll put the link to this watch in the description. And this is one of these watches that I just consider extremely fun. Now, check this out. So this is all iced out in like a green kind of rhinestone. I'm not sure if these are actually just pieces of glass in here. I assume they are. I can't tell if they're like a crystal of some sort, which I doubt they are. I'm 99% certain they're not. Or are they just like plastic? I really can't tell, but based on how they feel to me, they feel like there's some sort of glass, right? And now I don't know, exactly when they refer to like rhinestones as rhinestones. I don't really know what a rhinestone actually is. If it's just, some sort of, like a mineral, a synthetic mineral that they tint or whatnot. But nevertheless, whether it's glass or some sort of rhinestone, is absolutely incredible. Watches like this are, to me, a lot of fun. Now, I'm a big fan of anything blinged out, right? Again, I don't always wear, this is not something I wear every single day. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times I don't really want to wear, like what I consider costume jewelry, right? It would have to be classified as more of like a costume jewelry, and we know what that means. It's basically just fake, right? The problem I've had with a lot of these iced out hip-hop brands that you'll find on Amazon, on the internet, is that when you look at watches that look like this, if you want to have that iced out look, you generally get something that really does feel like, like costume jewelry, right? It feels really cheap, it looks really cheap, it doesn't look real. But I have to tell you, this watch is absolutely incredible. I honestly, this watch was like $27 at the time of filming this video. And again, this is part of the Temu affiliate program. I look forward to featuring more of the different colors. They have this in like a blue, more of like a rose. I wish it was like a deep red, but it's more of a rose. And I think you can even find it in like some clear stones as well. But let me just kind of get a couple of close-ups here. Hopefully this camera can kind of focus in. I mean, these are all, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously because you can't tell by the video, but generally watches like this or jewelry like this, you're not going to have prongs, set stones. These are just most likely glued in, but I have to tell you, I'm blown away at the quality you get for something that's like this detailed and has this many like parts, because each one of these stones is considered a part, right? And so I'm just actually blown away that you can get a watch like this for $27. It's mind-boggling to me. Now, when we talk about the quality of the watch, right? This is kind of where, when you put a watch like this on, you're going to feel the quality. This is kind of the argument that a lot of folks make, a lot of the watch snobs in the world, and I always hate to, I guess I don't really hate to go back to that, but I want to make a point here. When they talk about luxury brands, comparing those to like an Invicta Pro Diver, a Duxo, any of the affordable brands. When I say affordable, that is subjective. Everybody's going to have a different level of affordability, right? Not everybody's going to find a $150 watch affordable, right? It definitely comes down to your budget. But I think on average, if you're looking in that sub-$1,000 price range, I think that is affordable. Even more realistic, you guys know my sweet spot is like no more than $250 or $300. Have I spent more? Absolutely. Do I spend that much now? In all honesty, I would, but working with a lot of the companies that I do, it's filling my need for this watch addiction and, adding new fun watches to the collection. So there is a point, I think, that no matter what you're collecting, there is going to be a point in which I think the drive to acquire more starts to level off a bit, right? Now I'm up to like over 400 watches. I haven't got a solid count. I know I was at like 3-something about a year or so ago, maybe sooner. I'm pretty sure I'm over 4. When I include all those watches, I'm including watches like this too. So I have watches I got when I was 19 that are really $10 watches, and I have watches up to, thousands of dollars, right? Nothing luxury, luxury. No, I put that in quotes. They are luxury brands, but in all honesty, more and more people are starting to blow the whistle on what you're actually getting for your money. And when they start to objectively compare super expensive watches compared to affordable brands, most people with a brain are starting to see that, hey, what am I paying for, right? Why is this watch cost $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, right? There's always going to be, and I don't want to overgeneralize that statement, there's always going to be reasons on why a watch would cost more. But let's face it, at the end of the day, watches are a huge, insanely marked up piece of jewelry. And depending on which brand you get really dictates how much that watch is marked up. How long a brand has been on the market. Has that brand been able to make the right collaborations with the right people and really create a brand image that warrants that price? And we know who those brands are, right? Now, if we were to compare a luxury brand, even let's say a Pagani design with something like this, there's a big difference in quality. This is the difference that the luxury watch snobs want to make. They want you to think you pick up a Rolex Submariner and you compare it to a Duxo or a Pagani design, that the Pagani design feels like this feels compared to Pagani design. And that's not the case. This feels like an inexpensive watch when you pick it up. Now, if somebody were to tell me that, oh, well, this is some new alloy, right? Space age, super lightweight, then maybe I wouldn't necessarily feel like the watch is cheaper. But if we look at, the fit and finishing on this, of course, all the parts, this is what makes me laugh when people talk about fit and finishing. When we compare even a $27 watch like this, there are no huge crooked gaps. The finish on this is some sort of black plating. We don't have stainless steel, and that's the biggest I think difference when it comes to a watch like this compared to, let's say, a Pagani design, is that when you're getting 3/16 stainless steel, you have a certain level of construction, a quality in that construction that you can actually, it's tangible, it's objective, you can feel the difference. There's a weight difference, and weight doesn't always dictate quality, right? It's just because something weighs more doesn't mean it's better. But with something like this, because you're not getting a quality type of alloy, I'm not sure what this is made out of, some sort of basic metal, but it's plated, and how long this plating will last is yet to be determined, but you're looking at a $27 watch, right? What's also incredible is, again, when you look at how these stones are all set, they're not all crooked. I mean, they absolutely look incredible. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Let's see. I'm sorry, my camera just never focuses in right. It's always focusing in on me. Non-branded. This is completely a sterile dial. When you look at brands like this, you might find these brands made for other companies. I don't know, how many people are selling this specific watch, but you can see there's no branding on this. It's a fake chronograph, of course. There is a date window with the Cyclops, and it tells the time. The rest is all fake. So that's another, it's another thing that makes this a really cheap watch. When we look at the insides of the links, you can see that they're just some sort of metal that's been plated. It almost has like a goldish sheen to it. So, again, watches like this aren't really meant to, last a lifetime. But again, it depends on how much you wear. This is something I might wear once a year, if even that. But it is really cool to add to the collection. I mean, you have a dual push button deployant butterfly clasp. It does say stainless steel on it. It probably is. It's probably not 3/16, but I mean, it's actually quite incredible. Now, longevity, again, I don't know how well these stones are going to hold up for a guy who really wears the hell out of this watch. But, I mean, for the price, if you're looking to get something that has that bling and you don't consider, when I wear watches, despite what some morons on the internet think, I don't want a Rolex watch. Like, it's just like people just make things up as they go. I have a lot of watches in the collection. And of course, I have a lot of Submariner homage watches, but that's just because a lot of companies make those, and I've collaborated with those companies over the years. Not to say that I don't like those watches at all, but why would I want to spend $20,000, let's say $10,000, or even $8,000 on like a pre-owned market? Why would I want to spend that when I have a watch that feels, to me, and to a lot of folks who actually objectively review these watches, that give me the same look and the same vibe. The only difference is it doesn't actually have the brand name on it. So I'm not trying to pretend that I need to have a Rolex watch or I want one. This mentality is ridiculous. these snobs think that the Rolex is some unobtainable watch that you have to be super successful to be able to afford. Anybody with a credit card can get their hands on a Rolex, right? Maybe you can't walk into an AED and buy the newest model, but you can get your hands on them. They're everywhere, right? And so they're just not that unobtainable, right? And so to me, it's ridiculous to even think that. What I find fun about watches is getting things like this. This watch actually brings me a lot of enjoyment because I love fully iced out watches like this. I'm a pretty flashy guy. Not so much anymore as I've gotten older, but I still really appreciate wearing a watch that has some pizzazz. And I like this watch enough that I do want to get it in every color they make. Now, what's also interesting about this watch, of course, when you pick it up and you feel the watch, if you just look at the watch, right? If we just put weight out of the equation, put the fact that it's just plain old quartz, put the fact that it kind of sounds tinny, it's an incredible looking watch. And I mean, when looking at this doesn't look like, if you were to compare this watch to, if you haven't checked out some of my other videos I did on this channel, like I've reviewed a Pin Time watch, which is like a Santos de Cartier homage, says Pin Time on it. You get on eBay or Amazon for like $19. When you pick up that watch and you look at it, like, it's nice, but it definitely doesn't look this nice. Like, they really knocked it out of the park with the quality on this. Again, this watch would be absolutely incredible in that $150, $200 price range if it was 316 stainless steel. If it had a more modern, I shouldn't say modern, a better quality plating technique, and maybe like an NH35 in it. Don't make a fake chronograph. Like, even this watch, they should have just made it standard iced out face rather than putting on a fake chronograph, which definitely cheapens the watch. Just make it a basic quartz. There's lots of watches that cost thousands of dollars that use just a basic, Ronda quartz movement. You can definitely make a better version of this. And a company that comes to mind is a company that I forget the name. What is the company? They make the Jetsetter watch, and they make several different variations. They use Swarovski crystals in theirs, and they have the bright red, which it's about $800, and I've been eyeballing it for a long time. But in all honesty, I don't know how much better a watch like that would be to this. That's probably a better watch. I would hope so. I would hope it has a better quartz movement or an automatic movement. Using Swarovski crystals, like, are they? Like, I don't know if we can really prove that, I know that there's brands out there, and I have like a Geneve Elegante I got like 20 years ago that I wore the hell out of it, and it still looks great. It's missing some stones, but it's an incredible watch. And it's a basic quartz movement, but it definitely feels of better quality than this. Feels a little heavier, but overall, I mean, this is, if you're looking to get into that, blinged out, iced out look, if you're wearing this, nobody's really going to look at this and say you paid $27 for it, unless you're actually like a watch guy who's like, oh, that's a fake chronograph. Then that's kind of like a telltale that, all right, that's a real costume jewelry fake watch. But I mean, even look at it even if you get close to this, like, it's absolutely incredible, the stones on this. Like, nothing's all crooked. I'm just blown away. Now, you don't have a screw down crown. Again, basic back, probably some sort of inexpensive stainless steel back, probably a pressed on back. Like I said, it has a very hollow, tinny sound to it, but I mean, for $27, I mean, it's probably one of the nicest iced out watches that I've had my hands on. For years, honestly. I can't really think of any other watches I have that are fully iced out like this that honestly look this good. I mean, it's absolutely incredible to me. So stay tuned. I'm going to get my hands on the other colors. I'll come back and review these. This is available through Temu. I will put the link specifically to this seller. Pick it up. If you're a guy like me who, when I wear a watch, it's not to like impress anybody. I enjoy somebody asking me about it so I can share like my passion with people. And it is kind of cool to I think it's cool for anybody to talk about what they're into, right? I mean, no matter what it is, it's kind of like common ground with people. But something like this, you wear something like this for you, and I'm not really too concerned if somebody thinks like, ooh, that guy's got an emerald watch on, he must be successful. Like, all that is meaningless to me. Ultimately, all that matters is kind of the vibe I get from wearing the watch. And I gotta tell you, I'm super impressed by this. It is absolutely incredible that you can get this for 27 or 29 bucks, whatever it is. So stay tuned for different colors. Definitely gonna share these. The green, I think, is my favorite. I wish they made that bright red, but it is more of a rosy red. I am going to get my hands on that as well. And as far as the specifications on this, I have no idea, what the metal is. I don't know what the stones are, but they did a great job in making an iced out watch. Now, a company comes to mind that I have that I would say is comparable to this, and that is called. Damn, I knew I was going to forget. Let me look it up real quick, because I did collaborate with them. And I've been wanting to collaborate with them again. Actually, I think it's Hello Ice. So if you go to Hello Ice, and I'm just going to go here because I just want to kind of prove not really a point, but I just kind of want to give you guys a little bit more information here about this. What is going on with my mouse? Sorry, folks. This mouse has just been acting up lately. So when we go to their watches, and we're just going to go to Diamond Watches, as if my mouse will let me get there, they do have a pretty nice selection of watches. And what I'm doing is trying to specifically find, and I have one of their watches. I have it with the black stones and the rainbow bezel. And that watch, I think, at the time that they sent me that, was like $150, but you got like a second for free, right? So, 75 bucks. But here's an iced out emerald an emerald watch similar to this, and they want 80 bucks for it. This has the huge emeralds, fake emeralds around the bezel, which I think really kind of cheapen it. They have other ones with smaller stones, and I think that when you're looking at rocking a watch that is either a synthetic stone or just Swarovski or anything that's not a precious gemstone, I kind of gravitate more towards the smaller stones because it's more believable, right? It just doesn't, they don't look as cheesy, I think, and that is subjective. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get what you like and what makes you happy, but I think like the smaller stone chips, I think just looks a little more realistic on something like this, right? But, you're going to pay about 80, 90 bucks depending on when they're on sale through Hello Ice. And if I compare this to my Hello Ice, the quality is really identical, right? One doesn't feel heavier. It's almost like whoever's making the Hello Ice watches, they probably coming out of the same factory, right? Again, I don't know that to be fact, but I'm just gauging kind of how the watch feels, kind of how the plating looks, kind of how it has kind of like that hollow feel. But if this watch was like 150 bucks and you get it, I'd say, yeah, that's hugely, highly marked up. I don't know if you necessarily got burns, but it would just be a lot more for the rationale that it's got the stones on it. But for $29, this is a no-brainer. If you compare this again to other watches off eBay or Amazon, this is a real winner. And it's going to get you that iced out emerald look. Just for an amazing price. So again, links in the description. I'm going to throw this on the wrist. I'll show you what it looks like. I did take out, what did I take out of this thing? 4 links from this thing. And so I have a 7-inch wrist. For me, it's, you don't have any micro adjustments on this, so it's not bad. It's not too snug. This morning I find it's a little bit looser than last night. Your body's going to swell in a little bit, so watches are either going to get, tighter or looser. But as of today, like on a 7-inch wrist, pulling out 4 links, if it's perfect. It could be a tad bit looser, but not to the point where it feels uncomfortable or anything like that. But just check that out. Like, it looks incredible. And this is kind of, for anybody who might watch this and say, oh, that's a piece of shit watch, take a hike. This is, I'm not your kind of YouTuber or your kind of collector, if you feel that. To me, watches are meant to be fun and to have a lot of enjoyment wearing the watch, no matter what the watch costs, And for my liking, for the amount of watches I have, is it, if we compare like a very, just a lot of folks think like, sometimes credibility, kind of, if somebody's watching you, they kind of, you build rapport with the viewer without actually getting to talk to them, right? All I'm doing is speaking my mind on this. So you either kind of are like-minded and you can actually listen to what I'm saying and say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and you know, you can kind of, we build that rapport, and then you find me credible, right? So if you look at, the reason I mentioned that I have 400 watches is because I have a lot of different brands: Invicta, Aragon, Bulova, Citizen, Aquadive, Visser. I mean, there's a lot of brands, a lot of micro brands in my collection, and it's interesting, I'll have the same guys who will review watches, and they'll give a watch like Spinnaker a pass because they like it and say, oh, it's a great quality watch, awesome micro brand, and then go review like an Aragon or Invicta and say, oh, this is a piece of shit watch, only because they don't like the brand, right? But if you, in my heart, if you like Spinnaker, you can't, and you like the quality you're getting, you can't dislike something like an Invicta watch, right? I don't mean like their entry level, I mean like a pro diver, because the quality is on par, right? Of course, there's always going to be little nuances on each watch you might like more. You might say, hey, I really like sapphire on the crystal. I like a, you know, ceramic bezel more. These are kind of little differences, but one doesn't really outlast the other. It's just what you like. I kind of had a back and forth with a guy who was saying that the ETA movements are superior to NH35, and he was saying how the NH35 plus loses plus or minus. I said, well, I'm like, that's not really true, because this, I referred him to a YouTube video with a watchmaker who regulated NH35 to plus, I think +1, -1 or 2 seconds. I think it was per day. Don't quote me on that, but I mean, it brought the watch into almost Rolex specifications, definitely ETA specifications. And he backtracked and was like, oh, well, who's going to pay to have that done? Well, you're paying a lot more for an ETA movement. Again, not all ETAs, I'm not familiar with all of them, but you're paying more for a lot of those more expensive movements because it's probably regulated more, and it comes off the factory line as being more accurate, right? But at the end of the day, if you're wearing watches for the enjoyment, like myself, you're not really too concerned if the watch is losing or gaining a little bit of time. It's not like, I joke a lot where it's like, oh, it's not like I'm showing up to work late every day. You know what I mean? So it depends on what you're doing with the watch. But if you're like-minded with me, I enjoy watches, whether they're $20 watches or $2,000 watches. And I tell you how many watches I have because I have a pretty good gauge for a lot of different brands on what you get for your money. And of course, there's little differences here and there. Absolutely, there's a big difference between a watch like this and, say, a Pagani Design, a Duxo, a Nubeo, an Invicta. But the difference, I mean, we're looking at a $27 watch. And for what the watch lacks in quality, the watch makes up in pure bling and pizzazz. And they really knocked it out of the park with how they set these stones. Again, they're probably just glued, but it's incredible to me how they do this. And they can make a watch for this price point. So, man, check it out. If you enjoy watches like I do and you just really like to wear them for the fun of it and you're not really looking to impress anybody, you know, if you're a guy who's going to put on a $27 watch, wear it, and be scared that somebody might think it's fake, like, and you don't have the balls to be like, yeah, man, it's fake, I paid $27, then of course I'm probably not your YouTuber, right? You need to get your hands on a Rolex and join that cult. But for everybody else who really just enjoys collecting, give this a go. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and you'll have a lot of fun wearing it. So thanks for watching, folks. Have a fantastic day. Link to Temu and this specific watch is in the description. If I can help in any way, let me know. Drop a comment or drop me an email. And you guys have a great day. Take care.